My phone buzzed. It was from my mother, Linda. Leah, please don't come to the anniversary party. Your ex is going to be there and I just want an evening that isn't awkward. I stared at the word. Awkward. A second later, a new message popped up in the family group chat. My sister Brianna. Mom's right. It's just better this way. Better for the $55,000 party. I was paying for the entire thing. I didn't get angry. I got still. My reply was calm and immediate. Understood. Then you'll all be free from my payments too. By the next morning, the glass doors of the contemporary art gallery were locked. Have you ever been made to feel small by the very people you were trying to help? Let me know your story down in the comments. This wasn't just any party. It was my parents, Linda and Robert's 50th wedding anniversary, a milestone. And since I'm the senior project manager, the fixer in the family, I was the one who volunteered to plan and pay for it. All of it. The venue was an exclusive contemporary art gallery downtown. Glass walls, marble floors, a 3-month waiting list. I got it. I negotiated the contracts for the audio/visual team, the sommelier, the high-end catering. I managed the insurance writers for the artwork. The total budget I had already paid out of my own accounts was $55,000. And why would I do it knowing how they are? It's the psychological trap of being the capable person. When you're the only one in the family who is organized, who is financially stable, you get rewarded with more responsibility. You're not seen as a person. You're seen as a resource. Your only value, the only time you receive validation is when you are solving a crisis. I was the one who paid off my sister Brianna's credit card debt twice. I was the one who quietly covered my father's failed investment last year so my mother wouldn't find out. I didn't do it out of weakness. I did it because I thought that's what love was, fixing things. I was buying their peace, buying their approval. I was funding a subscription to a family that only saw me as a line item on their budget. I had even commissioned a $10,000 oil painting for them. A massive family legacy portrait. It was meant to be the centerpiece of the entire evening, a symbol of the family I was trying to hold together. I looked at the invoice for it sitting on my desk. Then I looked back at my mother's text. Awkward. That was the price they put on me. After $55,000, I was just awkward. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. The old Leah would have called, demanding an explanation, probably begging them to reconsider. The old Leah would have felt that familiar hot wave of shame. But as I stared at my sister Brianna's "better this way" message, I felt nothing. It wasn't sadness. It was clarity. It was the cold, quiet click of a project manager realizing a key vendor has just defaulted on a major contract. So I opened my laptop. For the past 3 months, I'd been living inside the project management portal I built for this event. It was a masterpiece of organization, if I do say so myself. Timelines, vendor contracts, payment schedules, guest lists, every single detail color-coded and cross-referenced. It was my job, my professional skill applied to my family. I looked at the dashboard at all the task items marked paid and completed by Leah. And that's when it hit me. That's when I finally understood. In narcissistic family systems, there is almost always one person designated to carry all the problems. They are the family scapegoat. They are the one labeled too sensitive, too difficult, or in my mother's words, awkward. For 29 years I had been that person. Every time Brianna created financial chaos, I was the one who was overbearing for trying to fix it. Every time my mother was manipulative, I was causing drama for pointing it out. They didn't hate me. They needed me. They needed a scapegoat so they could look at their own toxic reflections and see nothing wrong. I wasn't just the fixer. I was the designated problem so they could always be the victims. I took a sip of cold coffee. This wasn't a family crisis. This was a simple breach of contract. My compassion had been a resource they'd overdraft for the last time. This wasn't revenge. This was accounting. I clicked on the master timeline. Venue: Contemporary Art Gallery. Contract signed by Leah. Payment source: Leah. I opened the vendor contact email. I wrote one clear line. Per section 4.2 of our signed agreement, I am exercising the payer's right to cancel. Please confirm receipt and the immediate refund of my deposit to the card on file. Click send. Task status updated from green approved to red cancelled. Next, catering premium wine and dine. Audio/visual pro event solutions. Security and valet services. Red cancelled. Florals and custom lighting. Red cancelled. In less than 15 minutes, I had clinically, methodically, and entirely dismantled a $55,000 party that I was no longer invited to. I didn't feel rage. I felt balanced. I closed the laptop. The only thing left was the $10,000 portrait. That one was going to require a special touch. The night of the party Friday, I didn't go out. I stayed home. I was brewing a cup of chamomile tea, listening to a true crime podcast. My phone sitting on the counter was silent for hours. I knew they wouldn't try to call me. They were too arrogant. They assumed I was just sulking, that I'd get over it, but that the party, their perfect event, would just happen by magic. Then at 7:15 p.m. my phone lit up. It was my cousin Megan. She was one of the few people I actually liked. A passive observer in our family circus. "Hey, I'm here. This is something. What did you do? Just watch. A limo just pulled up. Oh wow. Mom, Dad, Brianna, and Kyle. They're all decked out. Linda is in a sequin dress. That's a choice. Brianna looks like she's going to the prom. They look very, very pleased with themselves." I smiled and took a sip of tea. They're walking to the front doors. The lights are off inside the gallery. That's weird. They're pushing the door. They're pushing it again. Leah, the doors are locked. I could picture it perfectly. The four of them in all their finery standing in front of a dark, imposing glass wall. My father, Robert, probably checking his watch. My sister's boyfriend, Kyle, jiggling the handle, his smug expression fading into confusion. Brianna, no doubt pulling out her phone to check the invitation I had designed. And my mother, Linda, the panic would be setting in. Okay, Linda is on the phone. She's pacing. She does not look happy. 5 minutes later, a new string of texts. She just threw her phone. I'm not kidding. She threw it. It hit the sidewalk. He's screaming at your dad. He's just staring at his shoes. Classic Uncle Robert. What happened? She was talking to the gallery manager. I could hear her. The manager told her the contract was terminated, that the contract holder, Miss Leah, had cancelled the event 2 days ago, and all deposits had been refunded to the card on file. The first wave of real satisfaction washed over me. It was clean. It was cold. Then came the real show. Oh no, guests are arriving. Like a lot of them. There are dozens of people getting out of Ubers all in black tie. They're walking up and asking your mom what's going on. Leah, this is a disaster. People are standing on the sidewalk just staring at them. Kyle is kicking the door. I think Brianna is actually crying. Linda is just standing there frozen. I finished my tea. I thought about my $55,000. I thought about the word awkward. This wasn't accounting anymore. This was the first payment of interest on a debt they'd been racking up for 29 years. And the bank was just getting started. The real chaos, the second wave, started about 30 minutes later. It didn't come from my phone. It came from my email. My laptop chimed. It was an email from the catering company Premium Wine and Dine. The subject line was urgent, final payment overdue, event ID 74. But they hadn't just emailed me. They had replied all to the entire planning thread. My mother, my sister, Brianna, her boyfriend Kyle, and my father were all on it. The email was short and brutal. The final installment payment of $22,000 due upon arrival has been declined. The card on file has been withdrawn by the primary holder. We require a new credit card immediately or our services are void. I watched the screen waiting. It only took 2 minutes. Kyle replied. Of course it was Kyle. He was the man of the house now. His reply was dripping with misplaced arrogance. We were under the impression this was all paid for. Leah, please handle this. He still thought I was just throwing a tantrum. He still thought I was the fixer on command. They all did. They thought my power was just a utility they could use, not something I could turn off. The catering manager, A woman I had spent an hour with tasting wine pairings, replied 60 seconds later. Her response was a masterpiece. Sir, the person who paid for this event, Miss Leah, was explicitly uninvited by her family. Therefore, the person paying is no longer attending. We do not provide $55,000 worth of services based on impressions. We need a new valid credit card from someone who is actually at the party in the next 5 minutes or we are gone. Good luck. The silence that followed in that email thread was deafening. Then my phone started to explode. The gaslighting began. First, my mother Linda, you are embarrassing this entire family, Leah. After everything we've done for you, this is unbelievably petty. I didn't answer. I just screenshotted it. Then my father Robert, his first text to me in 6 months. This is beneath you. Fix it. Then my sister Brianna in a string of texts that I could barely read through her rage. You ruined my parents' night. You ruined everything. You did this all because of your stupid ex-boyfriend. You are the most selfish person I have ever met. I read the all-caps message. I felt nothing. No guilt, no regret. This wasn't emotion. This was a balance sheet. They had treated my compassion as an infinite resource. And I was simply showing them it had been overdraft. I didn't reply to a single message. I just saved them one by one. Each message was just another receipt for a transaction I was finally closing. They still thought the worst part was the locked doors and the missing food. They didn't realize I was just getting warmed up. The next morning, Saturday, there was a knock at my apartment. Not a buzz from the intercom, a knock. I opened the door and there was my mother Linda standing on my doormat. It was the first time she had ever been to my place. She always said it was too modern or too far downtown. She didn't look sad. She didn't look apologetic. She looked exhausted and she was angry. Her hair wasn't done. Her makeup was smudged from the night before. She didn't say hello. She just said, "Listen, I know you're upset. Last night was a mess. A total humiliation." I just waited. I didn't say a word. This wasn't an apology. It was a weather report. She took a shaky breath and continued. "But the portrait, the family legacy painting, you paid for it. It was delivered to the art warehouse for setup. It's still there." I kept waiting. "Leah," she said, and her voice became sharp. "You can at least call them. Have them deliver it. We need something to save face. We can tell people the party was postponed and we can take some photos with it just so we have something to show." I almost laughed. It was the most clarifying moment of my entire life. After all of this, the text, the humiliation, the $55,000, she wasn't here to ask if I was okay. She wasn't here to say she was sorry. She was here to salvage the optics. She was here to get the $10,000 prop so they could continue to perform the happy family I had just stopped financing. He saw the look on my face change. "Please," she said, trying a different tactic. "It's your father's anniversary." "You're right," I said. My voice was calm. Clinical. "It's still my asset. I'll handle it." Relief flooded her face. She thought she'd won. He thought I was still the fixer. "Thank you," she said, turning to leave. "Just have them send it to the house." I closed the door. I didn't wait. I picked up my phone and called the art transport company. The woman on the line was very polite. "Yes, Miss Leah. We have the item scheduled for delivery today. Where would you like it?" I looked out the window. "Actually," I said, "I'm no longer taking possession of the item. It's fully paid for, correct?" "Yes, ma'am," she said, confused. "Good. Then please," I said, "liquidate it." There was a long pause. "Ma'am, liquidate? This is a $10,000 custom portrait." "I know," I said. "I don't care what you do with it. Sell it, paint over it, but I am formally canceling the delivery. As far as I'm concerned, it can go to the warehouse dumpster." I hung up the phone. It wasn't even satisfying. It was just necessary, like deleting a corrupted file. It was the final symbolic severance. They wanted a party about their image. Now they had nothing. But I still had one thing left to do. They had tried to gaslight me. Now I was going to use the one thing I had left, the truth in the guest list. I sat at my laptop. The gaslighting texts were still saved. My mother's desperate plea for the portrait was still fresh in my mind. They had made one critical fatal error. They thought this was about my feelings. They thought I was hurt or petty. They were wrong. As a project manager, I knew this was never about feelings. It was about facts, data, and consequences. And they hadn't seen the final report. I opened my email. I pulled up the original guest list of 100 names. Family, friends, business associates of my father, my mother's entire social circle. Subject: the truth about the cancelled anniversary. Kept it short, clinical, factual. Dear friends and family, I wrote, you were all invited to my parents' 50th anniversary party, which did not happen last night. I feel you deserve to know why. I didn't include opinions. I didn't include emotion. I just attached the facts. Attachment 1, a screenshot of my mother's text. Please don't come. I just want an evening that isn't awkward. Attachment 2, a screenshot of my sister's reply. Mom's right. It's just better this way. Attachment 3, a summarized breakdown of the $55,000 in expenses I had personally paid for the event. Attachment 4, the screenshots of the gaslighting text they sent me after the cancellation, calling me petty and selfish for not allowing them to use my money after uninviting me. I ended the email with one line. I did not cancel this event to be petty. I canceled it because I was uninvited from it. My presence and my money are not two separate things. I hope this clarifies any confusion. I hit send. The reply started within 10 minutes. Shock, disgust, apologies. But then an email came in that I never expected. It was from Kyle, my sister's boyfriend. He was replying only to me. He was in full-blown panic. His reputation tied to my family's was collapsing. He was throwing them under the bus to save himself. His email said, Leah, I had no idea. I swear they told me you just got stressed and backed out. I always knew Linda was crazy, but this is something else. You need to know what they were really doing. Attached to his email was a PDF. I opened it. It wasn't a text. It wasn't a screenshot. It was a formal document from a high-interest lender. It was a $15,000 business loan application. And it was in my name, my social security number, my address, my forged signature. My mother Linda and my sister Brianna had applied for a business loan for Brianna's failing online boutique, using my identity to secure the funds. They needed the money to pay off the debts Brianna had racked up with Kyle. This wasn't drama. This wasn't a family dispute. This was a felony. This was identity theft. I finally understood the awkwardness my mother wanted to avoid. It wasn't about my ex-boyfriend. It was about them being terrified that I, the project manager, would sit down at the party, start talking to Kyle, and discover the fraud they were committing in my name. I didn't reply to Kyle. I just forwarded the email and the PDF to my lawyer. Then I filed a police report and a full identity theft affidavit. I froze my credit. I cut the final cord. We're taught that family is blood. That it's an obligation, a bond you can't break. That no matter how much they hurt you, you have to endure it because they're the only family you have. But I learned that family isn't an obligation you're born into. It's a place you build. It's where you are safe. It's where your presence is valued more than your function. The people who see you as a person, not just a placeholder. My old family was a toxic asset. And as any good project manager knows, you have to divest. You have to cut your losses before they bankrupt you. A month later, the $55,000 from the canceled event was fully refunded to my account. I took all of it. I walked into my old university and established a new grant. I called it the Capable Fund. It's a scholarship given every year to a young woman from a low-income background who is pursuing a degree in project management. It's for the women who are used to being the fixer, the scapegoat, the capable one. It's to remind them that their skill is a gift, not a burden. My family's legacy, their 50-year anniversary, ended in a locked building and a police report. My legacy is just getting started. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to choose yourself. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that matter.